Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Bastions and Basilisks. I'm back to record, which is really nice. I'm Brandon.
I'm Kalvin.
I pointed the wrong direction for the camera. Fuck.
No, you didn't. You put no.
I pointed this way because you're
That's
on my wall.
that's where I am.
Yeah,
We're great at this. We've done
yeah.
20 videos and
Stage
we're
stage left, man. Uh, but we are on the uh subclasses, archetypes, whatever you want to call it. But we're on the paths, I guess you want to
yeah.
call it.
They're
The
barbarian paths.
for the barbarian. So we're just going to get straight into it. This video will consist of three, which will be the player's handbook and the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, because that one delves a little bit into the kind of introducing more stuff into the Path of the Totem. So to get the show on the road, straight into the Path of the Berserker. Starting off, once you get it, you have Frenzy, which it states, starting when you choose this path at 3rd level, you can go into a frenzy when you rage. If you do so, for the duration of your rage, you can make a single melee weapon attack as a bonus action on each of your turns after this one. When your rage ends, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion, as described in the Appendix A. At level 6, you can't be charmed or frightened while raging. If you're charmed or frightened when you enter rage, the effect is suspended for the duration of the rage. Now, there's a couple things with that. While charmed, I could see not going into a rage because, well, unless the caster doesn't know that your rage would suspend that, like I don't see why, unless it's like very niche situations where you'd end. Because no, I can see why, because you could convince them, like the barbarian, to attack his own allies, I
Sorry, you
guess.
just plowed through frenzy and didn't even leave time to discuss frenzy. I had an
I thought it was just easy.
I had an issue where I was trying to open my tab on my right screen, but I accidentally opened the one on my left screen, which is where the camera or the thing is recording to. So like they saw for like 5 seconds, Thousand Young's SoundCloud. Go check out Thousand Young SoundCloud.
I'm just like, I was just going through
You're
it.
just plowing through them. Yeah, no, we got time, buddy. We got time. I like frenzy in theory because once you hit 5, that gives a barbarian three swings around. Depending on how you're built, like, you know, especially with the ability to get advantage on all your attack rolls, you're increasing the likeliness of getting critical hits. So depending on what weapon you choose and, you know, what level you are, like it gets just kind of exponentially better. The only negative is the level of exhaustion.
Yeah.
If there was an easier way to remove exhaustion, and I don't mean it has to be this cakewalk. You take a short rest, it's gone. But like, you know, there's like a cleric spell to remove exhaustion or something. Because then, you know, it's worth its weight in gold at that point. It's really, you have to choose whether or not when you enter the rage you want to deal with a level of exhaustion and whether or not it's worth it. So you have to be smart about your frenzy uses, because you're like, is this a fight that I will need an additional, like, you know, during a boss fight, 100% you want to use frenzy because you want to kill the boss and everything in the boss room as quickly as possible, especially if the person is monologuing. Sorry, it's a Twitter. I got into Twitter arguments yesterday because people were talking about, because I don't like, if we don't like the bad guy, if I don't care if the GM's monologue, I'm gonna shoot him in the face. And it's up to the GM. And this is a real side. We could do our own video on this. Anyway, I like frenzy, but it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I agree, because
that one extra swing as a barbarian at level 3, that means for a minute you are on par with a monk essentially for attacks per round, which, I mean, people hate on monks, but like 2 swings around out the gate is respectable.
Yeah, and
it's just that level of exhaustion. So if there's some way, I don't know if there's any spells that get rid of exhaustion, but even a lesser restoration, like as a 2nd level slot, like, yeah, that's kind of rough for a 2nd level slot, but that means your barbarian's not exhausted. They don't have, you know, negatives or disadvantage on all of their skill checks essentially. So
Yeah, and
It's
then
it's
don't they
it's
get
it's it's
advantage on like strength and dex while in rage or something like that? So that would cancel out afterwards, but that's too niche for that situation, in my
right,
opinion.
right. But no, it's a good ability. I think
Oh
it's
yeah, I agree. It's
I
really good for what it is.
I would almost think like or either add a spell or make it so that um maybe make it like a con save.
That would make sense.
So it's and make don't make it easy. I'm not saying make it like 5, like make 5 plus. But you can make it like 15 plus the amount of rounds that you were berserking or
I love
frenzying.
how we both came up with the number 15, but I didn't state it because I was like a 15 would be pretty good.
Well, 15 plus the amount of rounds that you were frenzied.
That would be impressive, mainly at
Because
later
because
rounds when
because
you're
th-
doing this.
because then like at level 3, strength is your base, so you probably have hopefully like a 17 or an 18 strength, and hopefully a 14 with 16 con, and you also proficiency, so you only have like a +4. So there's a good chance you're gonna fail a con save anyway. But at least it gives them a chance
Yeah, like for
to
something that
possibly,
happens a lot.
come out of it not with a level of exhaustion.
Yeah,
And
there's
but
the
that's still a high
possibility.
DC. And I mean even at level 20, you have theoretically, I mean, unless you have a paladin in your group, like ignoring mitigating circumstances, just straight stuff, you have at most an 11. So you still have to roll really well if you frenzy for 10 rounds. You still have to roll a 14, which is what's a 30% chance, something like that.
Yeah, I suck at math.
Because a 10 is a 50% chance. So then for every 1 point, you add or subtract 5%. So yeah, at a 14, you have a 30% chance of succeeding. So no, I like frenzy. It's you just have to be careful with it. Essentially, don't waste it on
Yeah,
2 goblins. I
yeah,
mean,
it's
you
definitely
shouldn't really be
important to
raging
think
against a
about.
couple of goblins anyway at 3rd level. But and then mindless rage. I mean, like a lot of this path is kind of underwhelming. But I mean, there's right. Wait, right. So if somebody's trying to charm you or frighten you while you're raging, it doesn't work. Immunity to 2 status effects. I mean, assuming you're not already playing like an elf where you're already immune to charms.
No, they're resistant to
But
charm now.
but immunity to two status effects isn't terrible. And then because you're charmed or frightened, you're allowed to, like, the enemy might not even know. They might be like, this is one of those things that it could be DM fuckery where they're like, oh well, they're not gonna let you. You're charmed and they're not gonna let you rage, or they're not gonna tell you to rage because, like, no, they don't know that I'm immune to charm while I'm raging.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, and then I kind of realized it's like they wouldn't exactly know that, like
Right.
unless this spellcaster has watched and like understands how barbarians work and like has spent time with barbarians, they wouldn't know anything about this. So it's kind of like, yeah, kill your friends, go into your blood rage or whatever the fuck and kill your friends, and then he does it and he just murders the wizard by chopping his head off, because they
Um,
only have squishy hit points.
right, and at the charm condition, so uh well, this is a poor example of it.
But to be fair, like I don't know about the other subclasses because I've only played Path of the Totem and I've barely played that. So it's like unless this is possibly coming up in multiple uh subclasses.
A charmed creature can't attack the charmer or target the charmer with harmful abilities or magical effects. The charmer has advantage on any ability check to interact socially with the creature.
Unless it's suspended.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that so?
Yeah.
If they try to like, it's a lot easier for frightened because it's just like you're scared of them, but you can just go, okay, I'll
Yeah,
just
you can still technically attack them regardless if frightened or not. It's just it
um.
works really well with
Charmed is
frightened.
the issue because you can't attack or try to harm. And I'd be like, if you know that you have this weird feeling like suddenly your friends, be like, I don't know. There'll be one of those questionable things like, would I want to enter rage?
Because remember, Charmed.
But an ally might be like, like an actual ally might be like, why don't you get angry real quick? So I don't know. It's more useful
really
if
weird.
it's more useful if you're already raging, but there's the possibility that the DM will allow you to let you rage.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Especially in a combat situation. Like in a combat situation, if you're not already raging, be like, this suddenly is your friend. You'd be like, no, get angry. You don't like him. Your mom's a hoe.
He's actually a dick.
You can even, funnily enough, you can even do that. You could, as a fellow PC, if you were charmed and I know you're charmed, I could just piss you off and be like, your mom's a hoe. Nobody loves you.
You got a tiny dick grog.
Right. Mr.
Mess
Winky.
with his beard, apparently.
Mr.
I don't know
Winky.
why I'm thinking of Grog specifically.
Mr.
I'm
Winky.
thinking of Grog because of the fact that...
Well, he was a Berserker Barbarian.
Yeah, and he was charmed at one point and was attacking the group. That's what I'm thinking about specifically. But it's like,
which means they were at least 6th level when that happened. Well, yeah, they were at least 6th level when that happened with the sword. So he should have. And there's no way he wasn't raging at that point.
I just don't know which path he took. I think
he's Berserker.
He was Berserker?
Yeah, he's Berserker. So technically, he shouldn't have been charmed. It might have been something else. It might have been like a mind control, a different thing, or for dramatic effect.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's been forever since I actually watched that episode because it took me like 3 months of just like occasional watching just to get through the first campaign. I don't remember. I'm working on the second campaign now, so it's like.
The perk of mentioning Critical Role is now I can use the tag Critical Role in the video.
But I'm going to be honest, like that, I didn't have an example of where this could have gone badly or could work possibly well until we mentioned Grog. I didn't think he was Path of Berserker.
No, he is. Yeah, no, he is. I only know that because I watched. Because I only watched a couple of the actual game. So
yeah,
the only reason I know that he's Berserker because he uses Frenzy.
I see. I never thought of that for some reason. I don't play Barbarian very frequently because I kind of fall into that line of like Barbarians are kind of dumb, so I kind of use intelligence as a dump stat, and I don't intentionally do it.
I think we tackled this when we talked about the class, but like it doesn't necessarily have to be a rage.
Yeah, I think if I'm correct, I said like it could also be like a focus, like you just
which is what my which Chips Tooth Unchained my Barbarian does. He doesn't get angry per se. He just goes into like a battle focus because he survived out in the wilderness. Like he just becomes like hyper aware, and so that kind of
like
gives him
battle zen.
Yeah, type of thing. But yeah, no, mindless rage. It's a utility type of thing. It's situationally useful.
Hopefully your DM puts this in there.
It's incredible. Yeah, but it is incredibly useful in that situation. If you're fighting a dragon, because a lot of them have their fear aura, you're like ha ha ha. Or fighting something that charms people, like fighting Fae, or like there's a lot of ways in which this could be useful. There's a lot of ways it could be useless too, but
it's also one of those things like barbarians are kind of already susceptible due to the fact of how many players play them with the low wisdom, low intelligence.
Yeah.
So it's like this helps kind of mitigate that, where you're able to somewhat be useful enraged instead of being charmed. You're able to at least do something on your own accord.
It is only a net positive. There's no negative to this. It's not like, oh, in this situation. No, it's if you don't run into anything that frightens or charms you, then yeah, you don't get any use out of it. But but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That means that you as a party aren't running into anything. Anyway,
it's one of those things, like you said, like even if it's not used, it's still beneficial. Because there's no negative offset to it. It's just your DM hasn't included it. In my opinion, that's honestly a better thing than having to possibly explain your way out of this and then having your DM go, fuck you. I've had that happen before. So, but yeah, mindless rage is honestly like, now that we've talked it out a little bit, I can see the benefit of it. It's just, like I said, it's niche and I'm more worried about DMs not including this. Like, I don't think I have one barbarian in my friend's game, and I don't know what path he is, but it's now I want to know because if he's past the Berserker, I'm going to constantly bring this up.
It's right. If you're in a group, well, if you have a mass charm effect on your group, and the barbarian decides to rage, especially later on, where there's a thing where like, if they're surprised, they can use their, if they rage during the surprise round, they can still take a turn.
Yeah, I don't. Was that like regular? Dude, it's been forever since we went through this.
Yeah, that's the normal class feature. So like, it's a thing. Anyway.
Yeah, Feral Instinct at level 7. But yeah, so far I think between the two that we've discussed already, Frenzy has that offset where it's like you could really hinder yourself and you have to really think as your character, would this be smart to do, right? Because obviously as a player, you're going to be thinking about that, but I try to think as my character, right? Like if my character is a really fucking big dumb brute, he's not going to think about that. He's just going to want to crush whatever it is really fast, you know?
Right.
So that's how I think about it. Now,
I could see it as character growth too. I could see it as you're at level 3, you get it, and you start frenzying every single round, and then the party's like, bro, you will realize you're like, I'm exerting myself too. Well, no, even then, you could be stupid and still understand your physical limits and be like,
yeah, like
if I'm getting exhausted after I'm getting like this is a bad decision because low or average intelligence is a 10. So average intelligence, I'm not even low intelligence as a 10. Even an 8 is barely above average. Like that's so it just takes you longer. So maybe it's, you know, you're gonna be like, after the first time you use it, you're like, wow, I feel drained after that, and then you do it again, you're like, I feel, is it because I'm going too hard? You're like, maybe I should, because you know it just, lower intelligence or average intelligence doesn't mean that you're stupid. It just means that it takes you longer to get to the same, you know, location essentially mentally. So, you know, you'd be like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Like that's,
it's like,
because you really know yourself in a fight. Like
my body.
That's like going into a boxing match and just throwing haymakers for the entire first round, and then you're like, why am I so exhausted in the second round? Like,
well, the thing is, like even when throwing the haymakers, because you know you got to be open for that type of shit, and just allowing yourself to be open and get those like fucking gut shots in or whatever your opponent's doing, it's like you're allowing yourself to be open. So in that situation, you know, it's like your body takes that toll on it, and your character would be like, holy fuck, after like 5 or 6 times.
Right, you're like I can't go the distance if I frenzy every time. Yeah, I have to be smarter about my aggression because, you know, you want to offense versus defense type of thing.
It's like, do I want to go rabies level fucking attacking motherfuckers? No, okay, just regular rage.
Exactly.
There was like a dick joke that I was about to say at one point, and like that's why I put my hand in my head because I was about to say it. But continuing on, unless you have more to say about frenzy and or madness rage. Yep. Intimidating presence. Beginning at 10th level, you can use your action to frighten someone with your menacing presence. You just stand there and like you do that thing where like you put your arms behind your biceps. I can't do it because I have no biceps, but yeah, him. You're kind of like pushing down your biceps with your fingers. It's more like the reverse where you put your that. You already have big.
Well, make it more sense to hold it like this is more comfortable, but like.
Yeah, it's comfortable, but it's pushing out.
I have biceps, but they're under all the fat, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, but you're a lot bigger than me. Like, look, I'm
aware. I'm 2 of you.
Like, no offense, probably 3. I'm very small. I'm like,
hey, now
my biceps are pretty small. I'm going back to the gym next month. Okay,
I think I weigh like 315.
Oh, if we're talking about weight wise, yeah,
that's what I was
I'm 220.
Oh, you carry it well, my friend.
All in the stomach.
All in the dick. Anyway, intimidating presence. Shh. See? That's how you do a joke. You subtle about it.
It's not intimidating. Like you said, 8 is just barely above average.
It says barely below average.
Oh, I heard above average.
It's below average. You.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You're thinking centimeters though. Anyway,
wait, centimeters. I was thinking millimeters.
I was thinking micrometers. Just kidding. No, we do not body shame dick sizes here because that is body shaming when you make fun of somebody's
only self-deprecation.
Exactly. I'm allowed to make. or you're allowed to make fun. You know, we're allowed to make fun of each other, but we don't actually make fun. I don't.
Yeah, no, that's fucking shitty.
Yeah.
All
'Cause
right, continuing.
yeah.
When you, yeah, that actually says that. When you do so, choose one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you. If the creature can see or hear you, it must succeed a Wisdom saving throw DC equal to 8 plus proficiency plus Charisma modifier, which is odd. Now, I can understand Charisma due to the sheer fact that that's what Intimidation is under, but I also believe that you should be able to use Strength under that, so maybe change that out. Or they will be frightened of you until the end of your next turn. On subsequent turns, you can use your action to extend the duration of this effect on the frightened. Like I said, change that to strength, and I think it would be a lot better because not many barbarians that I come across have high charismas.
Yeah. Finish the whole thing in the room.
Oh, there's more to this? Oh shit, there's more. Fuck, now I have to restart that sentence because it continues the sentence. On subsequent turns, you can use your action to extend the duration of this effect on the frightened creature until the end of your next turn. This effect ends if the creature ends its turn out of line of sight or more than 60 feet away from you. If the creature succeeds on the saving throw, you can't use this feature on that creature again for 24 hours. Excuse me. Wow, I feel like a dickhead for not realizing that continued. But
No.
like
No.
I
It's
said, yeah, I'm using
the same thing happened. The same thing happens with. I think it was the druid. Because it's like one of their abilities, like goes on to like the next page, and it's like another like line or two, and like everybody's like, "What, it does that?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, look at the next. They're like, "Oh shit, it does." So
yeah, I think we had that issue with the druid in our video because it's like we didn't know where the fuck it went because it just ended abruptly, and it's like the next part, and then look at the top of the page for some reason found it.
Once again, this is just meh.
So I'm going to be honest. The only like I like the fact that it says sight or hearing because it doesn't require both. Because as you know, many spells require you be able to see them and hear them. So it's like really cool, or at least reverse it to you. So I think it's really cool that you could hear, like they can hear you, and you just scream at them, and it's just like,
yes, but it says that choose one creature that you can see within 30 feet. So you have to be able to see them, but they have to see or hear you. Like,
yeah,
it's a little inconsistencies within the own ability. The DC is not going to be great because it's possible to have a charismatic barbarian, but as a barbarian, theoretically, charisma is going to be at best your fourth highest stat because you want to go strength, and you're going to want to go con, and then you're going to want to go dex,
and then wisdom should be in there.
Wisdom like maybe. Wisdom maybe. Wisdom doesn't have like it's the low three. The socials or whatever you want to call it, the mental. What I think they're the mental stats, but you're all physical stats because strength is how you do damage, con is how you survive, also AC, dex is AC. So like in that order is how I would do it. I'm not saying that's how you need to do it, but that's how I do it. Is strength, con, dex, and then possibly charisma if that's the kind of character you're building. So. If you're going point by, then like meh, or you're going like arrays, then the normal arrays are kind of crap, and so maybe you have like an 11 or 12, or I don't know how the normal array goes anymore, but like maybe I think it's like 15, 14, 13, 11, 10, 8.
I forget how array goes.
So like you have an 11 maybe in charisma, which isn't any bonus at all. So you're effectively at 10th level, I think you're up to a +3, maybe a +4. You're 12. A 12 against it. You're fighting things at level 10. A 12 wisdom save. Most things are going to succeed against that.
Yeah, even with the base roll.
And you're wasting an action to target one person. That's the other thing that I have an issue with. I like targeting all enemies within 30 feet of you. Or
might be a bit.
Or a certain amount, like up to your proficiency modifier of enemies within 30 feet of you, or like it's a very bland ability because you're gonna waste an action. More than likely, it's gonna be the waste of an action to use it on somebody who is then gonna more than likely succeed because it's the frightened condition. So like hopefully, if it's something that can be frightened, theoretically, it has a moderately okay wisdom saving throw.
Yeah.
And At best, it's... I could just look at it. Now I need to know what at level 10 what the... +4. So you have a 12 at minimum. Like, a 12 is not hard to beat at 10th level for things that you're fighting at 10th level. I mean, if the GM throws things at you that are lower level, so if you're fighting like goblins or something, if goblins show up, you're like, I could just slaughter you, or I could just go
like a low tier mercenary or something like that.
Like,
something
you know,
that's
because
low.
you know, but like, they're like, like you can scare it off.
You're not gonna
but,
fight the Mandalorian level type of shit. Like if you're
it's-
expecting like to fight something on par with that and to scare him, unless he like rolls really fucking low, you're not gonna get anything. Or they like whatever you're fighting.
They.
Well, I was stating the Mandalorian specifically.
I know, which is wasn't why I wasn't gonna correct you, but I'm like, no, the Mandalorian specifically is, you know, Jin, whatever.
Din Djarin.
Din Djarin. I was gonna think Jin Corso, for some reason.
I don't know who that is.
I think that's another Star Wars character.
Probably.
Lando Calrissian. I'm just throwing out names that I know. Luke Skywalker.
I just caught up with it.
Ahsoka
I
Tano.
just got up with Mandalorian after binge watching it for like the last 2 weeks.
I've never watched it, or I've never.
Did.
I don't have HBO. Yeah, this is.
I can show you the site where you can watch it.
We don't promote. We know a website. Yes, HBO Max.
I mean, technically, correct.
Yeah, HBO Max is the website because we would never promote piracy.
I don't think it is piracy. Actually, I think they rent it for free. Like, it's not piracy.
Shut up! I'm winking. Play. We move on. I don't want this video taken down because we're endorsing piracy.
It's not a piracy.
Anyway, theoretically, this is a shit ability. If I'm being honest, how it's worded and what it uses. If it used, I would even be fine if it used con, your con modifier, because there's a good chance that you have a good con at level 10.
Well, like I stated, like if your DM allows intimidation to be used by strength, which I do, and I know players who do also, because it's using your demeanor and your size to your advantage. Like, I'm going to be honest, if a muscular like bodybuilder motherfucker went up and got in my face, regardless if he's shorter than me or not, like I'm going to be like, I'm going to think twice about that, because just because you're big doesn't mean that you can hit hard. But
100%.
But like, I'm still going to be smart enough not to want to get
strength. Strength makes the most sense. Because that's your whole thing. Strength is your primary. Like, I don't know. It's a shit ability. There's no real good about it. Because why are you gonna waste? It's a wasted slot essentially.
The only real reason why I could see this being used is if there's only one creature and you're trying to get information out of them.
Yeah, but them being frightened means that they can't move closer to you and want to run away from you. So they're not. You if this charmed them where they want to be your friend, then yeah. But this is frightened. You're
scaring them.
It's
scaring them, Sully.
Torture. They tell you what you want to hear, not what they know.
Yeah, that is true.
So yeah, no, it's a shit ability, and then they're immune if they like. So it's a useless. You're like, bah, it doesn't use any resources. So like, that's the only benefit is it doesn't use. It's not like, oh, you have to be raging to do it, or it's, you know, only a certain limited amount of uses. So you could just go, nope, nope, but then you're in the combat. You're like, cool. The barbarian at level 10 who can do 3 actions around, and if he gets a crit, he does like 17 dice of damage because he's got like improved critical second to time. Like, but it's, I don't know. Like, this is, I would make it strength and target at that point. Target, you know, either proficiency or your strength modifier per, because then at level 20 that means that you could target 2 more people because your strength goes up by 2 or by 4, but 2 modifier. So like, you know, then it kind of, it feels like it's useful, even then it feels like it's even then useful at level 20. But no, I think it's,
yeah, I agree.
It's a garbage ability. It's a garbage ability.
Before we spend too long on this one specifically, because we're one more until we're done on it, Retaliation. Starting at 14th level, when you take damage from a creature that is within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against that creature. That's mid. There's a feat that does that. If I'm correct, it's a feat.
No, I don't think.
Or is it 5 feet? I think it's Sentinel, which is where you can fight someone who has attacked your ally. I think that's what I'm thinking.
See, which would be a good combination with this.
Yeah, but like you said, yeah, I can see how this is underwhelming. It's like the first 2 were okay, And
I like this one. I personally like this one, especially if you said I think it's there is no negative to it.
There isn't.
You're not wasting. So intimidating presence, you're wasting an action where you could be doing damage. And as a barbarian, besides tanking, your second role is damage. Unlike a fighter whose primary role is damage, you're as a barbarian, because of your resistances to damage, your primary role is to get in front of things and take damage, because you have the hit points and hopefully the resistance to whatever damage they're doing.
Theoretically, if you frenzied in the line of enemies, right? Saying you use all of your actions for attacks and someone hits you, you use your reaction to hit them. That could be 4 attacks as a barbarian, technically.
Yes. 100%.
So I could see how that works. Now, on the flip side of that, say you use your action to do this fucking intimidating presence and frenzy, you're able to use your bonus action to attack. And then if someone attacks you, you can get at least 2 attacks off if they attack you. Or if at least someone attacks you. So technically, you could still at least do the normal amount of attacks if you decide to use your intimidating presence. But at that point, I don't really see that being useful.
So my point is, as the barbarian, you are going to be getting hit. So that means that you get 1 free extra swing per round. And
you have like whatever for reactions based off. Otherwise, you want to use.
Well, there's no official feats that increase your reactions, and you would have to dip like 10 levels into the critical roles, monk class, Mind of Mercury or whatever it is, Mercurial Mind or whatever, where they get more reactions. Like, so you only get the 1 reaction. So I like the idea of, I really like the idea of a barbarian who has the sentinel feat, because
but that's also your reaction.
But then you're punishing them for not attacking you as well.
Yeah.
So like that I like base level. I like retaliation because as a barbarian, they're hitting you, so you get to hit them back.
I love the idea that it's like they hit you, they realize you can hit back, and so they hit your friend, and you're like, you thought you could get away from me, and you just hit them again.
And then they're like, "There's no winning with you, barbarian."
It's like you can't get away.
But no, I like this. I like there's no, like I said, there's no. The big thing is you're not wasting a reaction. Like the only thing is that you don't technically get your relentless attack on this attack because it's a different turn. That's the only real negative, because, but it's it does say you take damage, so that's kind of a little. But I think the implication is somebody stabs you, you stab them back, type of thing. Yeah, you can only do it once per round, but that's one more swing per round, and if you're so you're not quite swinging as many times as a fighter can, but.
Or I guess that would be DPR.
But yeah, no, this is a good ability, because it's a lot of things don't like it, you don't. I mean, most barbarians don't even get to use their bonus action. So like frenzy gives you a bonus action to use. This gives you something to do with your reaction. So like your action economy skyrockets with frenzy and retaliation.
I like the idea of it now that we've talked about it more and like seeing how useful it is.
It's weird how that works when you talk to me.
Right. You are the more intelligent one.
It's true.
But yeah, seeing how this could be stacked with multiple abilities, even if I don't necessarily like intimidating presence the way it is, at least you still could theoretically utilize 2 attacks with frenzy on top of that.
See, and we're not even thinking of stuff we're just thinking base level. This isn't even in combination with you have like a giant slayer weapon and you're fighting giants, you have a dragon slayer weapon, you're fighting dragons, like that. So like we're thinking this is based, like if great axe, you're using a great axe, normal barbarian is swinging twice right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Frenzy, cool. Now the barbarian's doing three, swinging 3 times with the great axe, 4 times per round once you get retaliation, theoretically. Cool. But now it's a great axe, and you have advantage on the 3 swings primary. So there's a good chance you're going to roll a crit. Cool. And then you have like the added dice, the improved critical stuff. Like it all kind of builds on itself. So if you're fighting a dragon and you have a Dragon Slayer axe, you're now doing like, you know, a D12 plus 2d6, which that's 4 swings around. That's more 8d6. That means that dragon's targeting you. First off, which is your job. You have to
cut off its fucking leg. Yeah, it's gonna.
So it's the point that I've made about fighters, that the fighter's job is not to tank per se. They have the hit points and theoretically a good armor class, but they are a pure DPS class, because their whole job is, if somebody has to choose between attacking the wizard of the group or the fighter of the group, they have to make a calculated decision and hope, because at that point, if you're attacking my wizard and I'm the fighter, my job is to beat the shit out of you. My job is to beat the shit out of you regardless, but your decision is whether or not you think you can kill the wizard before I kill you. You're hoping. It's very much like the V for Vendetta. It's like it's not it's there's a line in it. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, I've never watched V for Vendetta. Wasn't that about Guy Fawkes or some shit? Is that the one I'm thinking about? Also look up the synopsis of the movie.
There's a really good line which we have more. I don't remember what the follow up. So they're like, we have more weapons, or like, we're gonna kill you. It's like, no, what you have are bullets, and the hope that when your guns are empty, I'm no longer standing, because if I am, you'll all be dead before you've reloaded.
Holy shit!
Right, such a hardcore line, especially because Hugo Weaving is the one that says it.
Yeah, I just read that it was Hugo Weaving doing it, but I was
so
wow.
So that's kind of the thing. So it's by giving more attacks to the barbarian, you're making them. The enemy has to decide whether they want to try to kill the barbarian first, and hope that maybe they survive. Maybe they kill the barbarian first, and now they have that little low hit point wizard to take out. But it's not like I don't know. It's a calculated decision. You're hoping that I'm dead, that you kill the wizard before I kill you.
Yeah, because
considering how many swings around a fighter gets with, their action surge and they're just, so it's kind of the same thing. By giving more swings per round to a barbarian, especially like you said with the sentinel feat, this makes this even more dangerous. I mean, it's even more dangerous for a fighter, because now they can have 15 billion swings. Like if they're two-handed, then they get 5, and then the action surge, that's 9, and then with but no, I like retaliation. It's a good ability.
It's good. It's good. And like you stated, there's other things I could stack into it, like magic items, weapons that deal better damage or give you advantage on the other things.
Feats.
There's definitely things that
yeah,
on.
Yeah. There's a lot of mitigation that adds to it. It's a net positive to me, because I mean, it's, if nobody ever attacks you, which seems unlikely that nobody's ever going to swing at the barbarian, which is the probability of nobody attacking a barbarian, because it doesn't say that you have to be raging either.
Yeah, that is true. It doesn't state that you have to rage like some of the other ones.
And it gives you a freebie. Like, if you get stabbed, if somebody tries to stab you in a bar, you're just you can punch them in the face. It gives you the option of doing something. It's not like they stab you, roll for initiative. You're like, oh man, I didn't get to do nothing. This is bullshit. So no, it's a good ability. I like it. I just it's frenzy. Frenzy is a a double-edged sword. Mindless rage is useful. It has its circumstances, but there's no negative to having it. It's not. I mean, there's some stuff that's always useful, but once we get to totem, same thing with totem. There's some things that are only useful circumstantially. So a lot of classes have circumstantially useful abilities. Anyway, we've been talking about this for way too long. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, like it's been what, probably close to an hour since we started this one.
40 minutes.
Yeah,
on one subclass.
Yeah, and you have to record by 12, and I have to be gone by 12. So this is we have to kind of steamroll this a little bit. All right, so I'm just gonna go through each level by level and then get into Sword Coast specifically because I don't want to like switch over until it's too late. Uh, but that's just how I'm gonna run through Totem Warrior. Uh, Path of the Totem Warrior at third level, it states that at adopting this path, you gain the ability to cast Beast Sense and Speak with Animal spells, but only as rituals. So you have to spend like what is it, 1 minute plus casting time or some shit, 10 minutes plus
10
casting
minutes
time.
plus casting time.
Yeah, so that entire spiel,
I
which
like it's what it's not crazy useful. Sorry, wrong. Trying to take that out of my lexicon. It's not an incredibly useful ability, but it's thematic at least. I like things that are at least thematic. There's no negative to getting it, and it's thematic to the class, considering that you ran around with these types or you worshipped these types of animals. So it makes sense that
I
you
thought it was
have
really cool in the first place.
yeah, you have abilities that are animal based. You have spells as a barbarian. Like even if you have to cast them as a ritual, it's still
I just think
interesting.
it's cool that you're just sitting there chilling in the woods and like
Right,
you're not
you're supposed to be a primal class,
angry.
out in the wilderness class, so it makes sense that So I like it. I like Spirit Seeker.
So, excuse me, sorry. Also at third level, you get an ability called Totem Spirit. At third level, when you adopt this path, you choose a totem spirit, sorry, and gain its feature. You must make or acquire a physical totem object, an amulet or similar adornment that incorporates fur or feathers, claws, teeth, or bones of the totem animal. So it has to have fur or feathers, the claw or teeth.
I think
No,
it's
or
just
bone.
I think
It's
it's
just
you
it's really weirdly worded.
right. It has to be a totem of the animal, which makes
Yeah, it
sense.
has to be something connected to that animal. Uh, at your option, you also gain minor physical attributes that are reminiscent of your totem spirit. For example, if you have a bear totem spirit, you might have unusually hairy and thick-skinned, or if your totem is eagle, your eyes turn bright yellow. Uh, which I really like that idea. Your totem animal might be an animal related to the ones listed here, but more appropriate to your homeland. For example, you might choose a hawk or a vulture in place of the eagle, even though it does the same stats. For the bear at third level, while raging, you're resistant to all damage except psychic damage. The spirit of the bear makes you tough enough to stand up to any punishment. Eagle, while you're raging, other creatures have disadvantage on opportunity of attack rolls against you, and you can use the dash action as a bonus action on your turn. The spirit of the eagle makes you into a predator who can weave through the fray with ease. Wolf, while you're raging, your friends have advantage on melee attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of you that is hostile to you. The spirit of the wolf makes you a leader of hunters.
There's also two more. That's why we're going to do the website.
Yeah, the website, like I stated, I was going to do Sword Coast after we go through all of this because it's going to, like, I'm going to be switching back
No,
and
I know.
forth.
There's the totem spirits. There's two
Yeah.
more from the Sword Coast, so you're missing elk and tiger.
Yeah, and those, like I stated, after I finish the book at least, because I want to be able to go through and not somehow manage to mess myself up because I will do it.
That's why I said
But
do the website, bro.
I mean, the website is here, but it's
Yeah,
just
open it because it
like,
has them in the order that they are, that at the proper levels.
oh, I can do that. I forgot. Hold
Yeah.
on one second. Path of the fuck. I put it on the wrong side.
I love you, buddy, but we've established that I'm smarter.
It was just easier on my area. Fucking. Oh, they have it all written down like that. Never
Yeah.
mind.
It's like I know what I'm talking about.
Dude, I misunderstood completely. Okay, completely misunderstood. The elk, while you're raging and aren't wearing heavy armor, your walking speed is increased by 15 feet. Spirit of the elk makes you extraordinarily swift. And Spirit of the tiger, while raging, you can add 10 feet to your long jump distance and 3 feet to your high jump distance. Spirit of the tiger empowers your leaps. I'm going to be honest when it comes to this. I'm always going to go bear unless like there's a specific reason why I'm going to go any others, like for role play. Just straight min maxing, I'm always going to go bear.
Right,
Because I want to be
bear
able to.
is undoubtedly the one of, if not the best option for this.
Yeah, at straight third level.
Because
I never have made
right,
it past it, but third
because
level.
at any level, while raging, have resistance to everything except psychic, and then if you pick a race like the Kalishtar, I think, have resistance to psychic damage. So if you pick a race that has resistance to psychic damage, now you have resistance to every type of damage at D12 plus con hit points at 2 swings around, like, at some point. Like, you are a beast, literally. That's kind of the point. There is no negative. Bear, what?
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Your piece literally
it was on accident.
I was recoiling from this like really bad energy drink that I bought 2 of, so that's why like I gave that phase.
No, bear is great. There's a reason that people have like a broken thing where they do bear and then druid, so barbarian druid, where they go bear totem and then they turn into an animal, because then the animal has the resistance. So they have the resistance to everything. Yeah. So also, now you have like 20 or 30. Now you have, right, which is what my barbarian did. So now you have 20 or 30 temporary hit points and resistance. So the amount of hit points is astounding. Essentially, there was a fight where we were fighting fire giants that my barbarian technically took like 300 points of damage in that fight, but because of resistance, I was still barely standing at the end of it. Like, imagine if you went Circle of the Moon, because I love Circle of the Moon. Yes,
Druid, and you're able to turn into an elemental of whatever you're fighting, and you have the resistance, which, if I'm correct, you have like immunity to.
No, they don't stack into immunity.
Oh,
so it's like 2 advantages don't create super advantage. 2 resistances.
I didn't know if the elementals were resistant or immune to their said damage.
Well, if they are immune, that's different. But I think it's
I was going under the preconception that they're immune to it, and you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing of whatever. Right. Plus, on top of that, the other ones that you're now resistant to. So it's like, dude, you're going to be a walking tank of whatever elemental you are with higher hit and higher DPS. Like, dude, it's going to be incredible.
The only reason that works so well is because most games don't get high enough level where barbarians start getting ridiculous abilities. So yeah,
I've never made it past level 4 as a barbarian.
Barbarian is arguably the best ability. I think some of the other abilities can circumstantially ebb and flow, because if you're not fighting anything that does anything besides bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, then it's kind of wasted. But the more things you fight that do different types of elemental damage, the better it becomes. Eagle seems weird. Like I think Tiger's the worst in this, but that's just
I agree.
But even then, it's circumstantially really useful. But Eagle, I mean, once again, not wearing heavy armor. Although Bear doesn't state that you can't be wearing heavy armor, so you could be wearing heavy armor. But I like, because the whole thing is you're weaving around. So you're moving around combat, and if you have like a feat that the charger feat or something, so like you're like, I'm gonna run over there, now I'm gonna run back over here, now I'm gonna run over there, and then I'm gonna run back this way. So if somebody's targeting an ally, and the dash action, like as a barbarian, you already get the plus. Like you're gonna have theoretically a based normal humanoid. You have a 40 movement at 5th level, so like. You can dash. That's another 40 feet to your movement. Like that's good. That makes you a more mobile barbarian is infinitely more terrifying. Dude, and having disadvantage on opportunity attacks, it makes it so that you're not going, I have resistance to probably these attacks, but do I want to get hit? You're like, I could do it, and the better part, actually, if you relentless attack or
get the fuck out of dodge.
You have advantage on your attack rolls, and then you provoke attacks for opportunity. The disadvantage and advantage negate each other, so now they're just base rolls. So you're like, cool, I swing a whole ton, I swing twice, and then I run away and dash, and now so I smack the crap out of you, and then I ran 80 feet away or 60 feet.
Now, I'm going to be honest, when it comes to like movement, for me personally, I always look at it as how fast can I get away from the creature? Not usually how can I get to the creature. It's always how fast from that creature and I being in front of each other, 5 feet. How fast can I get away from them comparatively to their movement, right? So if I figure out, say, their base movement is 30 feet and mine's 40, I'm always going to be gaining, say, a dash action, 20 feet of movement on top of them. And that's usually how I look at it, because in the event that you have to flee from a battle, that's what I look at, right? I don't want to be matching them or be too slow for them comparatively. So utilizing that, and of course, I'm usually using it as a role play element of just explaining why I have more movement speed. That's what I
I
look
think
into
that
it.
this would also pair well with a rogue in the party.
Yeah, fucking bonus
Because you guys are
action.
basing something, they sneak attack it, and then they move. They can disengage. I think disengage is a bonus action. So they move back around the field, and then you're like, cool. I want to be near the rogue. I'm gonna woo woo woo.
And you can just get disadvantage.
Right. Or if somebody's messing with your wizard, like I said, or your sorcerer, or your witch, or like whatever your caster low hit point caster class is, you can get over to around them without, having to possibly get hit 15 million times.
Yeah, I agree.
Chip's Tooth on Chainmail was originally Elk Totem, and 15 extra feet is a lot.
Doesn't the Tabaxi already get that ability where you can bonus action dash?
No. They can use as a free action while moving for the rest of their turn, double their movement.
That's similar to what I was thinking of, but
I know. So while raging, Chip's Tooth on Chainmail can use his bonus. I think in one fight I also turned into an elk, which already has a really high. But I think my base movement was 55 while raging.
Holy shit.
And then I can, so if I want to just as a move action and use my feline agility, I can move 110 feet. So now the Barbarian, that was a hell of a lot further away, is now a hell of a lot closer.
You blink and it's just immediately in front of you. It's like one of those anime fucking fights.
Well, no, it's like Monty Python and Quest for a Holy Grail, where they're like da 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 da, and then suddenly they're like ah, and then combined with some other stuff. Like I think, we were in a fight, the fight where Chips died. I was 100. I moved 155. I think it was like I was 155 feet away, and I moved that in one round, and I could have gone further because it obviously 220 is my top movement in one round, which isn't the craziest. The most ludicrous amount of movement in a round. There's nothing. There's people that have combos that are off the charts, but when the job of the Barbarian is to get to wherever the fight is, that extra 15 feet of movement.
Also, we're not even necessarily looking at it like, imagine if you have rough terrain, like where you're already halved. So it's like if you're fighting in a place where the other side ignores rough terrain or difficult terrain, I forgot. Like that's going to be really useful where your movement speed is so high already to where you're still able to get to the fight while your buddies are still struggling to get there. Excuse me, or evac, right?
Right. So it's 15 extra feet of movement is nothing to sneeze at. Once again, I mean, all of these are specific to while you're raging, so you have to be theoretically in a fight or tactically use your rage. Yeah, Tiger's not terrible. I mean, an extra 10 feet to your long jump distance can be useful. If that's way too niche. If that's a thing that you need, it's incredibly useful. 10 extra feet is incredible, but
I could see this being useful if you're doing like some sort of pirate ship related thing and you have to like run.
Oh, for sure. You jump from one ship to another ship.
Like,
but I mean,
I could see that.
Yeah, and especially because I think it's normally like it's your movement. So, if you use a dash action, you move and then you dash and then so you have 40-foot jump or however.
Yeah, I don't remember how they calculate it. I don't know how it's done, but really cool how they. It has its moments. Just neat.
I think some of the later abilities might be a little more useful, but yeah, as far as this is the bottom one, and then Wolf, giving your allies advantage on melee attacks is incredible. You're teamed up with a rogue and a fighter. I'm sorry for whatever it is you're fighting. Got a barbarian fighter combo, like a wolf totem barbarian with any fighter, especially like the Echo Knight, which already gets a couple of swings, like. And once again, it's any attack roll, any melee attack rolls. So if they have something that allows them to attack as a reaction, they get advantage. Or so there's a lot of things where this could be just disgusting. So yeah, I think for me it would probably go bear, wolf, elk, eagle, tiger, and there's a long gap between eagle and tiger.
I have to reread Wolf several times because I'm like, I don't know if I'm misunderstanding it.
While you're raging, your friends have
Oh, your friends
advantage.
have, okay.
Yeah,
I completely missed the word friends. That's why I was confused. I was like, you have advantage on creatures that are attacking you? It's like, holy shit.
that are
That
hostile to you.
yeah, I was like completely missing friends. I was like, that's impressive.
Right.
Basically, Wolf gives you like back tactics.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
But no,
And
it's reverse. It's inverse pack tactics. Because pack tactics is if there's an ally, you get advantage. So
mhm.
that means that everybody in melee, because the barbarian's going to use relentless attack, you're going to have advantage, and then everybody with you is going to have advantage. So just advantages for days. Teeth for days.
I think for me, it would probably go bear, eagle, wolf, elk, tiger, and like you said, like tiger's severely bottom on the list. I don't unless we're like unless I have a need for a role play or it's like very very needed for
Right.
the setting I'm in, which I
Right.
personally should know what the setting is. In my opinion, I don't think that I should know. I should know what's immediately around me.
Right. If it's a pirate game, if it's a mountainous game where you're jumping like, or it's environmentally specific. Like
Yeah,
most of them are useful regardless of the environment that you're in. Some of them like
that one is more.
eagle is circumstantial. I just love elk. I'm a little biased on elk because I had an elk totem barbarian, but an extra 15 feet of movement is really good.
I've never actually had anything but bear because I've only played like one or two and they were both bear.
Bear is I can't begrudge people for being bear because it is incredibly
It's fucking
strong.
great.
It's incredibly strong as far as arguably the strongest ability that any class gets
Yeah.
at level
Look,
3.
you gain resistance to basically everything.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna call
So,
that fucking broken.
right.
Uh, and not in a bad sense.
Right.
So going to 6th level, Path of the Bear, you gain the might of a bear. Apparently you're Russian. Your carrying capacity, including maximum load and maximum lift, is doubled, and you have advantage on strength checks made to push, pull, lift, and break, or break objects. Uh, Eagle, you gain the eyesight of an eagle. You can see up to 100. Wow, that. There's no zeros to
There's
that,
no zeros there.
and I completely messed that up. You can see up to 1 mile away with no difficulty, able to discern even fine details as though looking at something no more than 100 feet away. That's probably where I accidentally saw the 100.
Could be.
Additionally, dim light does not impose disadvantage on your perception checks, although it does say wisdom, perception specifically. Uh, I like that one, but we'll
Mm-hmm.
get into that in a moment. Elk, whether mounted or on foot, your travel pace is doubled, as in the travel pace of up to 10 companions while they're within 60 feet of you and you're not incapacitated. The elk spirit helps you roam far and fast. Excuse me. You gain proficiency in 2 skills from the following list: athletics, acrobatics, stealth, and survival. Your cat spirit hones your survival instincts. Wolf, you gain hunting sensibilities of a wolf. You can track other creatures while traveling at a fast pace and can move stealthily while traveling at a normal pace. Ignoring tiger for the moment, wolf, I kind of like it because it's like, although still super niche in the sense of it, I like the ability that it doesn't say your group can move stealthily at travel pace like the elk does, dealing with the movement speed. But at least you're able to, like, say you're like walking with the group, but you're off to the side. You're able to walk stealthily, just naturally. So that
Right.
way, if someone tries to invade and like try to attack you, you're like, haha, I've been hiding all along, and completely tear their shit up.
Yeah, that one's better if I mean tracking is, circumstantial. And this if you're building a party around, if you're playing a wolf totem barbarian, you're building it around a party concept. So having, maybe you have a fighter that has something similar where they can move it. Like theoretically you have a group that can travel at stealth speed, like normal speed while stealthing. So,
The bear, this one's niche. I don't include typically things that push, pull, lift, or break, but I kind of want to now. because it's one of those things where like I don't really think about it for some reason until it like comes up. I really like the eagle in this one. The eagle, in my opinion, is probably the best because you can see up to a fucking mile with no difficulty. So that's why I like that one. It's like you can see so much, and additionally, dim light does impose disadvantage on perception checks. That's pretty good. That's just my personal opinion.
That's only useful if you're playing in a game where that matters. I don't do it because I don't care. Like either you either see that distance or you don't. Like
yeah, I can see that also. Yeah, elf also really useful. You can double this travel pace of up to 10 companions that are within 60 feet of you. I don't know how many people are in a party or your parties typically, but mine are less than 10.
Right.
So, and then tiger is just
2 skills.
Yeah, you get 2 skills, and usually you already have 2 of those.
Yeah, but if you're building the character, you know what skills you get at 6th level, so you can build it. So you probably don't have acrobatics and stealth. You probably have athletics and survival.
Yeah.
So, like a lot of these are like I think that elk is the best here because in the game, traveling is a big part of the game. So, and you can only technically move 24 miles in a day. So you literally are moving. You literally double. So if something is 100 miles away, it takes you 2 days to get there instead of 5. Well, it's 2.5, but you know. It's not even 5. Yeah, it's just under 5. Like, so that's in a game that involves traveling all over the place. Doubling your travel pace is ludicrous. Because now we've gotten there. I mean, and it's up to 10. It's not even you and your party, so it's not like, you and 3 other dudes. It's up to 10. So, like, if you're in a caravan, so if that is a thing that you can use in game to be like, yeah, people around me just kind of move faster. So if you're hired as a bodyguard, you and the party, and then you have the group, and then whoever hired you, and like the 2 people and then so you and the 4 horses, and like the whole thing. Now, like travel, that could be a thing. You're like, travel with me, and I will make sure your cargo gets there safely, and B, gets there faster. And as
like you said, like
delivery
is your hired hand. Like if you're the hired hand, imagine it's like one of those like it has to be delivered like it's time sensitive, and the quicker you get it, the more money you get off of it.
Right.
And you just deliver it in like a day, and it's like, holy shit, how'd you do that? It's like, haha. What you don't know, and then you lift up your pant legs and you just have elk feet.
Or yeah, but that doesn't make sense why other people go faster. But
it's
or if you're like you find something happens, like it's you have to get somewhere rapidly because we have to get back to the village as fast as possible. So there's a lot of situations where there's no situation where that's not useful outside because all of these are specific to non-combat situations. So that is always useful, doubling your travel pace. Eagle can be good, like I said, if you're doing the disadvantage on perception checks thing, then that's awesome. I don't do it, so I'm a terrible person. I mean, seeing 1 mile away, I mean, you could do the same thing with the Eyes of the Eagle magic item. So
I didn't even know magic item for that.
So it's like a common, or I think it's an uncommon magic item. So it's not even like it's hard to get, but it's a good ability. You can have the barbarian scouting because you can just be like, and we're good. I don't see anything. Bear is useful depending on what you're doing. That's one of those things where the bear just. This means you don't have to rage to do athletics checks to push, pull, lift, or break objects. So you don't have to waste a rage every time you want to push a tractor trailer truck out of the way. Like, so its carrying capacity is doubled. Like, I don't know. Like we had part of in Curtis's game, we had to take a ship out of a small body of water. And like, if we had a bear totem barbarian, it would have been a lot easier because Marty already was incredibly helpful. So, Wolf, like I said, I've already said my piece on Wolf. It can be useful depending, but that's you have to build a party around it for it to be the most useful. But it's a stealthy barbarian though. That's terrifying. And Tiger, once again, Tiger is the least useful of it, but it's not. It's not circumstantially useful either. It's just it's good. It's two extra skills. There's really no, unless you already have all 4 of those skills. But once again, you're playing the character, you're building the character. You know that you're gonna get an option of 4, 2 more skills at level 6. So, it's just not. It's not as strong as all the rest of them. It's just kind of but it's not bad. It's still a good ability.
Yeah, I agree. Like, still, in my opinion, the most underwhelming, but it has the most use technically because it's like it's all around. You have permanent proficiency with it.
Right.
So I can see that. Continuing, Spirit Walker. At 10th level, you can cast a Commune with Nature spell, but only as a ritual. When you do so, a spiritual version of one of the animals you chose for the totem spirit or aspect of the beast appears to you to convey the information you seek. I kind of like that because it kind of reminds me of Skyrim when you're hunting Persine and he's like that giant white stag. I think that, like, I kind of imagine that type of thing. So I think that's pretty cool in my opinion.
It's just like the initial thing. It's thematic. It gives the barbarian a couple of nature based abilities, spells and whatnot. I mean, if you're playing a game where it's not useful, that sucks. But it could be incredibly useful in a game that involves, using animals. Like if you're in a dungeon crawl, then yeah, a lot of these abilities are gonna suck. Like the level 3 and then
speak with a rat,
But
they're alive.
But no, I like it. It gives some flair. It's not just combat.
Yeah, it gives
or combat moving or combat utility in certain situations. It's just like, yeah, here's a nifty ability. It's thematic. I'm okay with stuff if it's thematic and it's useful in some way. Like I hate when it's like the intimidating thing. I'm like, cool, it's barely useful.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, it's useful.
All right, at 14th level, Bear. While you're raging, any creature within 5 feet of you that's hostile to you has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another character with this feature. An enemy is immune to this effect if they can't see or hear. Yeah, or hear you, or if it can't be frightened. So it's kind of like a frightened thing, I guess. Like it's kind of like being frightened. Eagle. While raging, you have a flying speed equal to your current walking speed. This benefit only works in short bursts. You fall if you end your turn in the air. Nothing else is holding you aloft. Elk. While raging, you can use a bonus action during your move to pass through the space of a large or smaller creature. The creature must succeed a strength saving throw, DC 8 plus strength plus proficiency bonus, or be knocked prone and take bludgeoning damage equal to 1d12 plus your strength modifier. Excuse me. The tiger, while you're raging, if you move at least 20 feet in a straight line toward a large or smaller creature or target right before making a melee weapon attack, you can use a bonus action to make an additional melee weapon attack against it. Wolf, while you're raging, you can use a bonus action on your turn to knock a large or smaller creature prone when you hit it with a melee weapon attack.
So all of these feel strong to me.
I agree. It's like, I'm going to be honest. If I'm going to have to like rank them, it would be bear, elk. Tiger and wolf are kind of equal. Like I don't see one more beneficial than the other, because I like them. And then eagle's kind of at the bottom for first. Tiger's more useful than eagle because like yeah, you get to fly for a moment, but if you end your turn, you fall. Like there's nothing that you can really help you keeping up unless there's a flying spell or something, So it's like that's how I look at it. So it's kind of weird.
As far as once again, depending on party build, although Bear is more useful if you have a melee party.
That's true.
I would actually say that Wolf, I think, is the strongest. Because you hit somebody. You have 2 swings. So you hit somebody with your first attack. There's no save. I use my bonus action. You're knocked prone.
You know, I didn't even realize it didn't have a save until you said it something.
So now you're prone, assuming that I probably have advantage anyway. But if I don't decide not to, the first swing I hit you, I knock you prone as my bonus action. On my second swing that round, I now have advantage because you're prone. I mean, allies already have advantage, but it's forcing the enemy to stay there essentially because you have to use half your movement to get up. I mean, it's the larger, smaller kind of sucks. Because by the time you're fighting 14th level things, there's a good chance you're fighting
much bigger than larger, smaller.
There's a chance that they're bigger than. Tiger is. I like Tiger. I think that's probably third. I think it's probably Wolf, Bear, Tiger, Elk, Eagle, and because you have to move 20 feet in a straight line toward a larger, smaller target. But that gives you 3 swings. Like that's kind of in a. I think Tigers have pounce, so as long as they kind of charge somebody, they get extra swings. So, yeah, Bear is useful if you have a party of melee characters. It's less useful if you don't. Or it's also useful if, once again, in the situation like we said with the wizard and the fighter, it's the same thing. The barbarian and the wizard, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you, and you're gonna have disadvantage while trying to swing at the wizard. So you might as well swing at me anyway.
Yeah.
I like Elk, but it has a saving throw, which I mean it's your strength, so it's gonna be deuces.
It's gonna be decent.
And it knocks them prone, and they take damage, but it's specific to they get a saving throw.
Yeah.
So that could get with a saving throw. I will take an automatic knockdown. I'll take an automatic prone versus a possible prone, even though it does more damage, or it does damage as well. But and then Eagle's still strong because that means you have a 40-foot minimum. Well, I guess 35 if you're playing something that starts with a 25 movement. But you have a decent move. You have a good move speed. So turning that into a fly speed, you rage, you dash, you move. Now you're 80 feet up. Now you're at the top of a tower. We were so focused on Tiger in situations on ships and whatnot. We were ignoring Eagle's usefulness in a ship situation where the barbarian, now they're on the crow's nest. They can see things a mile away. They don't need so no, I like all of these abilities.
Monocular? No, not just I don't know the word.
It's a spyglass?
Sure. I completely forgot about that. I don't know why I said monocular.
Monocular. I'm technically it is a monocular.
Yeah, I just went the extra route on trying to figure out what it's called.
You went extra. That's right. That tracks. I mean, you fall prone. That's the only thing, or you fall. That's the only thing that kind of sucks. But I mean, you have to be raging, so you're moving. So the cool thing is technically, I think it makes a mention of it somewhere. It's most tribes consider totem to be kin. It is unusual for somebody to have more than one totem spirit, though exceptions exist. So if you were elk totem and eagle totem, now you could have a 55 move speed while raging. That changes the dynamic of combat because you're stuck and they're like, oh, barbarian's over there, he can't do anything. And you're like, cool, rage, fly up 20 feet, fly over 40 feet, and then just drop on somebody. You're like, sup, fuckers?
You just
thought
take half fall damage by
today will be the day that you almost caught Jack Sparrow, like type of thing, like. So no, it's
by far the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
Yes, but you have heard of me. No, it's a good. All of those are good. I like all of them. Oh, jeez. Okay, we should probably cut it off here though, because we're at an hour 15.
Well, technically worked out the way that I suggested the first time, where we finished the player's handbook. But yeah, we probably.
I mean, we had 2 additional with 2, but yeah.
So next video we'll just do the Sword Coast one, and then probably do Xanathars after that.
We'll see how the next one goes. We'll figure that out personally.
But yeah, so this is gonna be an XD long video, and it's 53 degrees outside. I'm surprised by that. Peace, guys.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And now you get to listen to the outro song. And that's the outro song. Yeah.